I'm the second child in a family where the spotlight always shone on just one person, Nathan Hart, my older brother. Since we were kids, he was the pride of the family, the one taught that the world was his to conquer. And me? I was odd Evelyn, the girl who preferred tinkering with machines over cocktail parties, who found more joy decoding cell structures than learning how to manage an investment fund. When I got accepted into Stanford on a full scholarship for biomedical engineering, my parents didn't attend the ceremony. They were too busy celebrating Nathan's first big investment win. I learned to swallow my tears. It became a survival skill. Now, I'm the CEO of Hartwell Biotech, a biotech firm valued in the hundreds of millions, leading breakthroughs in medical research. But to my family, I'm still just the little sister who knows nothing about money. They've never asked what I do. They've never believed I could protect them. Until the day I found out, my parents' assets were about to be seized, and the one behind it all was none other than Nathan. I was on the 32nd floor of Hartwell Biotech, looking out over the San Francisco skyline, when my personal attorney, Catherine Liu, called. Her voice was slightly shaky, but her words were sharp as a blade. Evelyn, the bank has started foreclosure proceedings on your parents' home. They've missed 3 months of mortgage payments. I shot up from my chair. Mortgage payments? That house was paid off in 2001. There was a pause. Then she said quietly. They refinanced it to invest. The authorized party is Nathan Hart. The world tilted. My hand gripped the edge of the desk, knuckles turning white. My parents had blindly placed their trust in my brother, again. And this time, it had cost them everything. The financial documents came in fast. Nathan had withdrawn nearly $2.3 million, including my parents' entire retirement savings and over 2 decades of hard-earned funds, to pour into a string of green startups, unlaunched, unprofitable, and currently under investigation for data fraud. I called my mom. She picked up on the 3rd ring, her voice artificially cheerful. Evelyn, what a surprise. We haven't talked in so long. I got straight to the point. Mom, do you know about the mortgage? A long pause. Then, calmly. Nathan's handling it. You don't need to worry. It's not your business. Not your business. That sentence pierced my chest like a dagger. He's drained Mom and Dad's retirement fund. And now the house is about to be foreclosed, I said. Don't say it like that. Nathan just ran into a few challenges. He's working on a solution. What kind of solution? Phantom startups. Crowdfunding from con artists. My mother cut in, her voice sharper this time. You always think you're better than Nathan. But he's the one with vision. You're just theory, Evelyn. I didn't respond. She had made her choice. Nathan. Even when I was the only one actually capable of fixing this disaster. When the call ended, I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into my personal asset tracker. Their house, the one I grew up in, was listed as a pre-foreclosure property. I stared at the red letters on the screen and made a silent vow. If they didn't want me as their daughter, then I would be a stranger. But the only stranger who wouldn't turn her back when they needed someone the most. I spent the rest of that night in the dark, the only light coming from my laptop screen. Property maps. Bank statements. Tax delinquency reports. My parents hadn't just lost their retirement. They were about to lose the last roof over their heads. The house on Riverstone Lane, where I learned to ride a bike. Where I hung my first diploma on the wall though no one noticed. They didn't want me. But I knew they needed someone. I contacted Julian Trent, the head of our legal division. The one person I trusted. I need a shell company. No links to me. No connection to Hartwell Biotech. Its only purpose is to enter a property auction and buy back my parents' house. Julian hesitated. Evelyn, are you sure? They don't exactly want you involved. I looked him straight in the eye, unblinking. They don't have to know. Within 72 hours, Sapphire Holdings LLC was born, an anonymous entity registered in the Cayman Islands. On paper, I was no one. But behind the curtain, I was pulling every string. I hired a real estate valuation team, a property attorney, and an independent financial advisor to assess what it would take to keep the house sustainable after purchase. Because they didn't just need a home. They needed to be protected from their own blind trust. I drafted a lifetime lease agreement with 3 simple conditions. They would have the right to live there for the rest of their lives. Rent, $1 a month. No one in the family, especially Nathan, was allowed to be involved in any financial decision related to the house. Simple. Clear. Legal. Julian held the file in his hands, looking at me like he was seeing the real me for the first time. You're never going to get their gratitude for this, Evelyn. I shrugged. I don't need their gratitude. I just need them to have a roof over their heads. The weeks that followed were a quiet race against time. I tracked Nathan's every move, his desperate calls to investors, the fake promises of one last rescue round of funding. I knew his kind, because I had spent a lifetime being told I wasn't good enough next to someone like him. I didn't stop him. I let him fall, on his own. And when the official foreclosure auction notice went public, I simply nodded. That day would come. And Sapphire Holdings would be the highest bidder. No one had to know who I was. No spotlight. No applause. I would save them, not because they loved me, but because I had learned to love without needing to be loved in return. Auction day arrived on a cold, gray morning. The wind whipped through the stone steps of the county courthouse. I arrived early, dressed in a plain black suit, my hair pulled tightly back, no makeup, indistinguishable from any legal staff in the room. No one recognized me as Evelyn Hart, the CEO of a 9-figure biotech empire. I sat in the back row. In the front, I saw my parents, my mother's hair noticeably grayer than the last time I saw her. Nathan sat between them, leaning in to whisper like a serpent coated in sugar. He looked composed, still wearing an expensive suit, acting like all of this was just a misunderstanding. But I knew he was standing on the edge of a cliff. The auction began. 42 Riverstone Lane was listed at a starting bid of $850,000. Hands began to rise. $900,000, I didn't flinch. $1 million, still silent. When the bidding hit $1.2 million, Nathan began to glance around, his confidence slipping. As the bidding climbed. $1,350,000, I said, raising my hand. My voice was clear, steady, cutting through the silence like glass. Every head turned. But no one recognized me. $1.4 million, another investor nodded. $1.7 million, I replied immediately. A wave of murmurs spread through the room. That number was well above market value. 1.75, the last bidder challenged. 2 million, I finished. The room fell silent. Nathan shot to his feet. Wait. I have a group of investors, they're on their way. Sold, the auctioneer declared, slamming the gavel. To Sapphire Holdings LLC. My mother burst into tears. My father pulled her close. Nathan clutched his phone like he was about to crush it in his palm. They didn't know who I was. No one did. I stepped outside, the cold wind slicing through my coat. In my hand was the lifetime lease agreement I'd already prepared. They wouldn't lose their home. They'd never know I was the one who saved it. And I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. 3 days later, they stormed into my office. Nathan walked in first, eyes blazing. I know who you are. You think you're clever, don't you? Buying the house just to humiliate this family. I didn't respond. My mother stood frozen. My father said nothing. They looked around the office like they were seeing my world for the first time. You had no right, Nathan shouted. I slid the folder across the table toward them. I had every right. And I did it. Then I pointed to the documents, bank statements, emails, evidence of Nathan's reckless investments. Every misplaced transfer. Every fraudulent contract. You believed in him your entire lives. This, I said, tapping the paper, is the truth. Read it. There were no words left. Only my mother's shaky breath. And the shattered look in my father's eyes. I thought it would end in silence. I thought that if they had their home back, everything would be fine, even if they never knew who had saved them. I was wrong. 3 days after the auction, while I was in a board meeting discussing our expansion into the European market, Lisa, my executive assistant, burst into the room without knocking. Evelyn, your brother and your parents, they're in the lobby. They want to see you. Right now. My heart skipped a beat. I walked out of the room, the sharp click of my heels echoing off the marble floors. Nathan stood there, lips pressed tight, eyes burning. My parents were behind him, their expressions confused and hurt. I knew it was you, Nathan growled, throwing a stack of printed documents onto the conference table. Sapphire Holdings. Horizon Development. You hid behind 5 shell companies. But I traced it. I glanced at the papers but said nothing. You thought you were smart, buying the house just to shame us. His voice cracked with fury. My mother stepped forward. Sarah, Evelyn, is it true? Did you really buy the house, and keep it from us? I held her gaze. I didn't hide it. I protected it. I knew you'd never accept money from me. So I found another way. My father suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse, shaking, but full of pain. We don't need your pity. We trusted Nathan. Maybe he made mistakes, but at least he tried. I opened my laptop and projected the full financial trail onto the screen. Nathan's emails to fraudulent investors. The desperate wire transfers to phantom startups. SEC warnings. Every dollar my parents had lost, laid bare on the screen like knives slicing through the heavy silence. I wasn't trying to shame anyone, I said, my voice trembling but firm. I was trying to save a home. When the person you trusted the most was the one who almost lost it for you. My mother looked down, lips drawn tight. Nathan stood frozen, fists clenched, but with no defense left. I don't need your thanks, I continued. I just need you to have somewhere to live. The rent is $1 a month. The taxes are paid. The lease is legal. And Nathan is no longer allowed to manage a single cent on your behalf. No one objected. Because for the first time, the truth had nowhere left to hide.